Welcome back to 1 Minute Recess. Nevada politics served with the strength of a shot of caffeine, a dash of sarcasm, and zero fluff. This week we're talking about a very serious conversation around what happened this previous week with Charlie Kirk, gun violence, and free speech. So you're in for a ride, my friends, because we got a lot to say about it. Maria, bring us in.
Welcome, everyone. And it is an interesting week. And we used to work on this, Annette, on gun violence prevention. And so it's an issue that as we were talking, to really dedicate a lot of time on, because we have a lot of opinions. We also have a lot of experience on this issue that folks may not know about. And if you know us, you may not know about either. So why not use this moment where all of a sudden everyone cares about gun violence, which they should, and let's burn right through it. So, Annette,
wild week. Yeah, I think, when I was thinking about this episode, it felt only right to me to have a conversation about this. And listen, I know it's a hot topic. I know everybody's got a lot of opinions about it, and frankly, so do I. I think the first thing that really came up for me was the topic of gun violence. Like you said, we worked on that in our previous job. I've spent a lot of time, you've spent a lot of time responding to mass shootings, specifically, mass shootings in our own backyard here in Vegas, mass shootings in schools, mass shootings in synagogues and churches, and, people being shot, right? The legislators in Minnesota who were shot. And I have a really hard time with this topic because nothing ever gets done. And now we have a conservative person who I vehemently disagree with on most things in this life, who was also shot, fatally shot by one of Trump's followers, it seems. And so I have a hard time because, oftentimes we're met by Republicans and Democrats, but mostly Republicans, who say that their Second Amendment rights trump all things, including our right to feel safe, or our right to go to a political rally and feel safe, or a political debate and feel safe. And I'm having a really hard time with it because now this weird thing has been twisted, and now they're coming after free speech. Now they're doxing people. The right is doxing people who don't agree with them. The headline today is "Coordinated Conservative Effort. If you celebrate Kirk's death, then you're going to get doxxed." That's not how freedom of speech works. He said whatever the hell he wanted to say, and it was celebrated. Other people are going to have other opinions. So there's so much to this. There's such a complexity to this. And I think have been struggling this week with my feelings around it. And I know other people are as well. And so I wanted to be able to create space for you and I to talk about it, for our audience to talk about it, because I think it's something that's really important that needs to be discussed. So, Maria?
Yeah, that's a lot just on what you said. And so I too have been finding it really difficult for many reasons. I think the most definite thing is that this is a moment of reckoning, because I think for the first time, one of them was person who was a victim. And it's so sad that, people at a grocery store, people at a movie theater, multiple of those things, children in schools, every day. The same day, there was a shooting at a Colorado high school. And for people to be, one, surprised. I think it's surprising because he was such a high profile figure. Regardless if you agree with him or not, he's a high profile figure. Anyone who's high profile is going to create a buzz. But what is sad is that it's like, especially on the other side, I think there's a big divide between people who are like, this is a regular day in America. Someone getting shot. Regular day. And now all of a sudden, people who are like, how could this be? How could this be? This is so unbelievable. No, it's very believable. Welcome to America in modern times. This has been believable since when we were when we were kids, and the shootings in Colorado in the schools. And ever since then it just has never stopped. So I think this idea, if we didn't have a wake up call decades ago on gun violence, maybe this is it. Will they actually do anything on guns? I don't think so, because you can see it in the way that they're talking about it, right? They wish the person was from another country. They're saying that it's because of so many reasons, but they're not getting to the actual point, which is he had an access to a weapon of war and he used it. And so I think
Well,
that's just, that's like the beginning part of this that like is like just the essence of the situation that happened, right? Like someone died in a way that many people die in this country, but yet that's not the conversation. It's what you said. It's all of the ways that we can spin this to our favor on in our side of things.
and I think that's the part that really was kind of vile to watch, right? Regardless of my personal opinion about Charlie Kirk, which I have many, nobody should die of gun violence. I believe that. Like, I have been very, very, very consistent on this issue. Nobody deserves to die of gun violence. And what excuse Wednesday, she's playing in the background. My thing is that when people die every day in this country, you see Donald Trump
Mhm,
ignore it essentially. You see him ignoring school children, you see him ignoring churchgoers who get shot, people who get shot in grocery stores, like you said, legislators who he just didn't go to their funeral, didn't call the governor of
mhm,
Minnesota. But now turning around and treating Charlie Kirk like he's a national hero, like he's an elected official. He's not.
stop. Mhm.
In fact, he's essentially the equivalent of you and I at this point.
Yeah,
He's a high profile big mouth like we are,
he's a
right?
talking head, yeah.
And he had a lot of opinions, right? And he did not deserve to die for those opinions.
Mhm,
Just like nobody deserves the threat of gun violence for having an opinion. Nobody deserves to be doxxed for having an opinion.
mhm,
And I guess that's been the most disappointing kind of thing to watch is these two sides warring. And I get why there's a war brewing, because there is one brewing. We've known this for a long time. But it is sad to watch because I've debated people, you've debated people you didn't agree with for a long time.
mhm,
And we'd walk out of that studio and we would have normal civilized conversations with them. And I think the more and more people, especially, just going to say it, white men become radicalized in this country any which way, but specifically white men, because that
mhm.
is the majority of mass shooters. If you just go down the line and look at it, the more they are radicalized, whatever which way they're radicalized, the more shootings are going to happen. And this is just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. And it is also the inability in the very beginning, I think, of the right sphere, the inability for them to think it could have been one of us, like the literal governor of Utah saying, prayed and prayed. It was from a person. This person was from another country, but nope, he's one of us. Like you just said, the statistics already told you he was going to be one of you. That
Literally.
that's what it's been this whole time.
I mean, look at the shooter in Vegas. He fits the exact profile we're talking about. Like, every once in a while, it zigs and zags, but for the most part, we're talking about that exact profile: white men in America,
Yeah, yeah.
young white men in America.
Yeah. And it's, there is this, I do think, that that radicalization. And I think, many people say like, we shouldn't, it's not it shouldn't be a focus, but I think it should be because that radicalization is what is getting us here. And I think the radicalization of men generally, because we know a lot of men who aren't white who feel like if they just act a certain way are going to be the bros with these radicalized ones, right? And I think, that plus guns is a dangerous equation. And that is what
It's
got us here.
deadly,
Yeah.
100%.
And the fact that
And
that is,
it's what's even sadder is it's the exact rhetoric that Kirk was peddling.
yeah.
Right? The I mean, the heinous things he said about gun violence, the heinous things he said about mass shootings, right? And to turn around and have him be killed in a shooting, it's just horrible.
It's
And
horrendous. Yeah, and that, you know, and just for anyone that might be twisting in their heads, all of the heinous things, that is the beauty of this country and systems like ours, well, maybe was, we don't know, is that you should be able to say whatever you want to say, especially political opinions, and
yep,
be safe. Be safe from the government taking you to jail, be safe from getting shot. Like that was the whole point of this whole experiment. And just because we didn't agree or worst hated what he said doesn't mean that he deserved to go out that way. But it is very interesting to know, like you said, that let's remind people that Charlie Kirk said that sadly these types of things, shootings, were worth it in order to have the Second Amendment. Like that is, and the fact that people aren't sitting down, and by people I mean on the right, sitting down to go, are we wrong? To like put an amendment like the Second Amendment. And we're talking as gun owners, by the way. We both have guns, both in our houses.
yes, we do.
And so it's not like we're sitting here going, woo
Take
woo.
everybody's guns. That
No.
is not
Like,
what, but there needs to be sensible,
yeah,
common sense gun laws put in place so more and more of these tragedies don't happen because they don't happen in other countries, friends.
they don't. They don't. This is something that I've been to one of the most dangerous countries for anyone, but especially for women in Central America. And I was having a conversation with another American who goes there a lot. And we were talking about how here in that country, you know why you will be in danger if you are in danger, either because you have money and they want your money or because they want to do something very specific to you. But in the US, you could just very easily be going to a movie theater and all of a sudden your life is in danger because someone woke up mad. Not because they want money, not because they want food, not because they want to, something almost tangible and almost understandable. Here, it's it's an absolute crisis, an epidemic. And it's like half the country hasn't caught up to that.
I think it was so jarring on me on Wednesday because, I'm very good friends with many people on the right. Unlike, I think, national politics here in Nevada, we still have friends that are right and left, right? And one of my friends had a very strong reaction to what happened on Wednesday. And I told this person, I said, I hope you have that reaction every time
Hmm.
someone is shot and killed in this country because it happens every single day. I hope you have that reaction every time there's a mass shooting. Literally, I said this to this person, and not 2 hours later, there was the mass shooting at a school in Colorado. And I didn't get the same reaction as I got to this person's political, friend.
Hmm.
And the reaction should be consistent no matter
Hmm.
what it is, no matter who it is. But I think what bothered me even more since that is the right's persistent spin, because it is spin, it's complete and utter bullshit. I'm just going to call it like it is. And if you want to come after me, please do. I dare you. Cannot fathom spinning this to use this to weaponize this against people you don't agree with. Look, I didn't post crazy shit on my profiles and things like that. But what I will say is, if you did, that is your right as a US citizen. That is what's called freedom of speech in this country. Charlie Kirk went out and said whatever the fuck was in on his mind, whatever the fuck he was thinking. Nobody said a word about that. In fact, they've tried to twist his words and reel him in. He was heinous to black women. He was heinous
Hmm.
to LGBTQI folks. He was heinous to immigrants, heinous to women,
Hmm.
horrible to people who got shot. These are the same groups of people who make believe said that Sandy Hook wasn't a real shooting and all those kids were crisis actors, right? They
Hmm.
would say horrific shit about people. and nobody batted an eye. But
Mm.
now, people who you disagree with, so people who on the right who disagree with other people, probably at both parties,
Right.
of all parties, I should say, saying things that you don't agree with, and now you're getting them fired. Now you're getting them, you know, doxxed on the internet. Now you're getting 2 teachers in Las Vegas doxxed on the internet, and school board members are going after them, doxing them, breaking state law because, by the way, it is illegal to dox people in Nevada. We changed that law in the 2021 legislature. So those school board members are breaking state law. Anyone who doxes people are breaking state law. You and I literally worked on the bill, Maria.
We did. Yeah.
And so it's so funny and so hypocritical coming from the right who believes in freedom of speech and hails Charlie Kirk for his freedom of speech and
Mhm.
all the vile shit that came out of his mouth. When you disagree with people, you don't go after them
Yeah.
in this country. They have freedom of speech. Plain and simple. Like, the hypocrisy in all of this is astounding to me.
It's like the old saying, I may not believe or I may not agree in what you were saying, but I will fight to the death to defend it. Like
Right.
it's this idea of we're going to disagree, but we both need to have the ability to say it freely in order for all of this to function. And like the people, for example, that you and I have debated, I would, and that we vehemently disagree would never think of doxing them or would want them to be doxed
No.
ever. Because you know what? Because you know what's interesting? Because you mentioned the backstage conversations. Many of them great people. Some of them would wish us happy birthdays. We just disagreed in politics. And I think that's right now you are seeing the disbalance. Like, everyone says both extremes, and it's true. 2 extremes can get things very, very bad. But currently, seeing as how the entire right, all of the right, from the very far to the more moderate, isn't understanding where we are as a country, is showing you that they're the ones that really are driving the conversation in this country to a much more extreme level. And it's frightening because this is only going to get deadlier. Only going to get deadlier because we don't have responsible people in the majority in Congress. We don't have a responsible president. We have militaries, still being sent to different cities, and it's a powder keg.
Sorry, I'm chasing a pug around the room. Yes. And I think what is really troublesome for someone like me, right? I told this story on Facebook the other day. For those of you who I'm not friends with on Facebook, probably won't be friends with you on Facebook, but I told a story on Facebook after the Charlie Kirk thing happened. And I shared that when I used to volunteer with the pug rescue back when we were at my old job, I would go there and I would volunteer and I would end up, you know, essentially hosting their annual fundraiser. And it was a big Halloween event. And there was like a pug parade and Halloween costumes and shit. Nothing to do with politics whatsoever. Like, this was like fun time. Annette would do this, right? Like, this was my pride and joy that I just had fun doing that had nothing to do with my day job. One year, I want to say it was 2017,
Mm,
2018,
mhm.
as I was hosting. I was on my way, and my friend Jennifer, who was the head of the pug rescue, called me frantically, and she was like, "Annette, where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm not there yet." And she's like, "Don't come." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "There's a man here with a gun looking for you, saying that he wants to teach you a lesson." And I remember I didn't get scared. I got angry
Mm.
because how dare you come into a place that has nothing to do with what I do for work, right? This is just like a charitable 501c3 nonprofit cause that I just
It's
happen to use
puppies.
my big mouth to raise money for pugs, right? For things that I just love, creatures that I deal with, because she's over there biting on a book right now. And so Nick, my husband, turned around. He was furious
Mhm.
and went and got our gun. And we don't ever do that. That is not something Nick does. That is definitely not something that I do. But if we have to use it, we will use it. Like, I wouldn't bat a fucking eye.
Mhm.
And He was so mad that somebody would invade a space like that because that was so fucking unnecessary, right? And Jennifer called the cops. The dude left. He got out of there in a hurry when he heard her on the phone with the cops because of course these guys are pansy asses. But it's just the thought
Mhm.
that the right is like saying, "Oh, this is brand new." Bitch, no it's not. This
Oh,
is not brand new.
it's been
This has
going on for a
happened
while.
for years and years. Like the political discourse in this country. We can't have a civilized conversation in this country
Yeah.
and disagree. And I'm sorry, but like I also saw this on the internet this week. The left calling us Nazis. That's what's causing the problem. No, you acting like Nazis is what's causing the problem.
Kill meat on Fox
People
News.
are right. People are going to rebel.
Mhm.
People are going to stand up for their rights. Their rights. We all have these rights, whether you're left, right, in the middle.
Yeah.
People will stand up for their rights regardless. And you don't get to suppress people's speech just because you don't agree with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so that is Nazi behavior. If you want to suppress free speech, go look at Hitler. That's the shit he did.
Mhm.
And if you're not doing it to the Charlie Kirks of the world, you don't get to do it to the middle or the left either. You may not agree with it, unfriend them, but don't dox them. That's nonsense. That is bullshit behavior that the right is pulling, and I vehemently disagree with it.
Yeah. And it really is proving the point that you have been trying to say isn't real. Like, all of a sudden, you want to actually police how people think. Maybe you guys are the intolerant right. You know how they call, Musk says this a lot, the intolerant left. You all are the intolerant right. Just because we want to hold you accountable, because we want you to learn something, or because we disagree with you, doesn't mean, hi, Wednesday. More important news.
She's joining the conversation. She's over there eating books. We don't ban books in this household. We
We
eat
eat
them.
them. Like, that is, I mean, and for people that didn't realize also, you know, in but it's related to this whole, you are Nazis conversation. Brian Kilmeade on Fox News said that homeless people should be basically killed. That is literal not what the Nazis did. They killed people with mental illness because they weren't fit anymore. And so if you can't withstand the criticism, I don't know what to say to you. But this isn't the way to do it. And what is insane, though, is that throughout history, the political violence has come from that one side. And it's, like you said, it is not new. I mean, how old were we with the Oklahoma City bombing? That was
Oh yeah,
political
like
violence.
6 or 7.
Yeah. Like, that was, oh, I'm mad because of what they did in Waco, Texas. And guy ran off with the Michigan militia and then planned the Oklahoma City bombing. It's always been a man. It's always been a white guy. And from that side, sure, you can pick one or two handful that don't fit that description and maybe have killed for other reasons, but for political reasons and because they're angry at the country, it's usually been that side of things.
I just, because the right has been blathering on this week and trying to spin this about, oh, it's the woke left or it's the radical left, which, by the way, it's not. The kid was from a Trump loving family in Utah, Mormon, grew up with guns, grew up in a Trump costume for Halloween. Like, give me a break. Then they tried to blame professors at his
Oh, God.
college,
Yeah.
Utah. I'm like, okay, give me a freaking break.
And it wasn't
Then
even
it
BYU. It was a
no,
small school.
a tiny college. Then my favorite spin that they've tried to say is, oh, well, it's black people. It was a black person. Before they even knew who the shooter was, it was a black person. Then it was a trans person. Had to
Mm,
be a trans person because one trans person went and did a mass shooting. Now it's got always going to be trans people, right? The
mm,
fact that they're vilifying communities of color, they're vilifying trans people before we even know what's happening. They're saying there's markings on the freaking bullet. Our FBI didn't even know what those markings freaking meant. That is a problem. That is an actual problem that you don't
mm.
know how to identify bullets. And you sit there and profess yourselves as the gun lovers in this country. But here's what's more about this whole situation. The right is sitting here professing, The left, they're intolerant, they're hateful.
Mhm.
Nancy Mace, oh, they're hateful. They're hateful people. Charlie Kirk said this about empathy. To quote
Mhm.
their beloved Charlie Kirk, I can't stand the word empathy. This is him saying this. I think empathy is a made up new age term that does a lot of damage.
Mhm.
But that's the part that people, I think, on the right are forgetting.
Mhm.
Charlie Kirk said whatever he wanted, and then he got that response in return from people. That's a quote on the internet, right? And what I'm saying is, how do you expect people not to have that feeling when somebody just said that about empathy? How do you
Yeah.
not expect people are not going to feel the exact same ways that Charlie Cook felt?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
And what also doesn't make sense or is confounding is the fact that, and it kind of goes to what you were saying, Annette, that you see all of these people, like how many people discovered that all of a sudden this person you follow on Instagram or Twitter was a Charlie Kirk lover because finally they posted, like I know there was one account that I had.
I was pretty shocked. I was like,
Yeah,
"Whoa,
people
what?"
just saying, "This is the most horrible thing I've ever
Hey,
seen. I've never seen anything like this." And I think that also shows that, many people have empathy because they've suffered a lot. And that is why when shootings would happen, people would get deported, this or that would happen that affects someone else, people would have empathy because they're people that have seen things or experienced things in their life and they're like, no one else should suffer. But there's like this group of the population that either hasn't suffered or just doesn't care and has been made to suffer by different groups of people because of your words, because of the politicians you support that are being propped up by those words. And so for people to also be so sad at the rhetoric surrounding his death, just fail to understand the fact that there's also a lot of people that were harmed because of people like Charlie Kirk. Like even before, getting doxxed and all that, like currently, like the harm is continuing, but before that, people were hurt because
yes.
he inspired also a lot of violence that maybe
And
didn't get to
and
the news.
I think
But
that's the thing that's crazy to me, right?
yeah,
Is that sure, okay. He has freedom of speech, sure. He can say
yeah,
whatever he wants. People also get to react to it, right? Now, I'm
absolutely.
not saying they get to choose violence. That's
Mhm,
not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I get to have a visceral reaction to someone
mhm,
who I disagree with. We used to go on Politics Now all the time. And I and you vehemently disagreed usually with the people we were on with. Two in particular. And I just remember we'd walk out of there and be like, "Okay, see you next week," right? It was never a thing where there was a threat
pew
or there
pew,
was
like in the no,
no harm or anything like that. We would disagree. We would yell. There were some cuss words probably mumbled under my breath because I
and then I
was
would be like, "Where are you going on vacation?"
furious.
Yeah,
But the thing is, like, we could still recognize each other's humanity. Now,
mm,
are those people that I would hang out with on a regular basis? No, because I don't associate myself with racists and I don't associate myself with homophobes. But every day, every week, we would have to go and debate them. So we had to be civil when we walked in there to be able to have that discourse. But there was never the threat of violence after that discourse. And I think that's the difference of where we are today is there's that threat now.
yeah, and I really do think that the other side, and by the other side, I mean the right, really has lived in this bubble. They wanted us to get to this point, which many
Oh
people have
yeah.
been afraid of because, and don't tell me that that's not a thing, because you say Antifa, I say Michigan militia, right? Like, and Michigan militia is very well established and they've actually done a lot of violence. And so it's either that or you lived in a bubble where you didn't see this happening because you thought, like we were talking about earlier, this school shooting is fine because there's violence everywhere. We shouldn't take our guns away. All of this converging into one place is the fault of the people that haven't done anything to address this constant anger from your typical shooter, which is, and it's not just mental illness, by the way. I mean, people are like, it's mental illness. No, there's plenty of mentally ill people that don't do this. It
100%.
is a certain type of mindset that has developed in this country that then encourages you to pick up a gun and take matters into your own hands. Like, that's the rhetoric of places like Michigan Militia and things like that. And, it reminds me also a lot of what we had here, Annette, the Bundy situation,
Oh,
where just tons of people, like literally from all over the country, came here just because some guy didn't want to pay grazing fees. And and by the way, people died because of that. 2 cops,
yeah.
Cece's Pizza. And, there was some mourning because they were cops, but did they do all this crying? Did they do all of this over there was more love and ongoing support for the Bundys rather than checking themselves and going, wait a second, 2 people that are on our side just killed 2 cops. Maybe we got to check ourselves. No, it was move on. And then they went to Oregon and did the same thing. It's all related.
I what in the post that I wrote this week, like, it cannot be understated the radicalization of the right in this country. And they want to say the radical left. Like, y'all, come on. That's not real. That's not the
Mhm.
truth. It's just not real. And there were a lot of people this week that I think the thing that surprised me most were like some of my friends from high school, right? My Mormon friends, people that I've stayed friends with, you know, online because I like looking at pictures of their kids, or I like seeing their family and like what they're up to now. I like staying in touch with them. But when they shared it, I was like, do you even know the things that were coming out of this person's mouth?
Mhm.
Right? And sure, if you want to mourn a person, but like,
Do
do
you
you
know
know
them?
what you just shared? Do you know the human being that you just shared a meme of? Like, have you done your research on the things that he believes?
Mhm.
Because if you truly are Christ-like, whatever that means to people who are religious, or if you truly espouse yourself as somebody who is a believer of Christianity or other faiths, what he said was not Christ-like at all. Loving thy neighbor, loving each other, being accepting of each other, that is not what he did.
No.
And so it's really been puzzling to me
Yeah.
to watch people share shit that I don't know, I don't think they understand truly what they're sharing.
Yeah.
And it's like the rest of us see that, they have I'm assuming probably black and brown friends and friends who are of different backgrounds who see that and think this man said heinous shit about me
Yeah.
every day of his life while he
Yeah.
was, doing this stuff. Is that how you feel too? That's because as a woman, that's what I thought. I was like, wait, do you believe that shit? Do you believe what's coming out of his mouth? Because that's what I felt.
Yeah. And I keep getting to this point of you can, like many people say, well, it was a bad thing. That's why I'm posting it, or that's why I'm warning him because it was a terrible thing. Okay, welcome to the gun violence club. Like, welcome to having a shooting affect your life. Welcome. We're a big club. We have
It's
hats.
horrific.
The issue is you can condemn something, but not mourn a person because maybe they don't deserve to be mourned. Like, should his family mourn him? Should we make sure that his family's okay? But, yes, that because human beings.
Yeah.
Like, for example, his daughters do not deserve to not grow up without a father. Like,
Yeah.
but
I fundamentally believe that about every person
yeah,
in this country should not have to be a survivor of gun
yeah,
violence or a victim of gun violence. Like, I
all of the kids,
fundamentally believe that.
all of the kids in Uvalde should be starting a new school year this year.
100%. Yes.
And like for all those people that are like, well, he didn't say terrible things. This is one thing, just pulling one out of the hat randomly. Prowling black, and this is verified, there are sources, you can look it up. We can also put it in the notes. Prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. He said, not it is literally prowling blacks. Like, think about how he is talking about a group of people. Like, Like what? Like animals. That is how he is talking about the Black American experience, that they go out in the dark and target white people. So you as a white person need to be afraid. When I'm
Which is
sorry, I
the
haven't seen that.
weirdest, literally never experienced that in my life. Never once have I been afraid. It's like when Donald Trump sits there as I get ready to go to DC this week. He sits there, "Oh, I'm so afraid of Washington, DC. It was so violent." You and I have rode around on scooters in the middle of the night in DC.
Yeah.
What are you fucking talking about? Like,
Yeah.
that's not fucking real.
Walked
But for
alone and were
folks,
perfectly fine.
I'm still here.
Yeah. Nothing happened.
Apparently, it's more dangerous to go to a pug rescue event than it is to walk the mean streets of DC.
Yeah. And like, what is it that Charlie Kirk said about New York, that he felt very unsafe, back when he was alive? And I'm not making fun. I'm saying that is truth. When he was alive, he was afraid of New York when he was there. But guess what, friends? He made it out alive out of New York. But he goes to Utah, to a small school in Utah, and that's where something happens. Something is wrong with not your opinion, but with your logic, with your reasoning on things. Again, we can disagree. You can believe this about immigration. You can believe that. But when it comes to like your extreme racism and your weird logic and mental gymnastics, it's just off.
So I just, if people are curious, like, who is Charlie Kirk? Because I bet there's a lot of viewers out there who are not as sadly invested as we are, because it is sad that I have to be invested in this person and these people, because we have to know what the right is saying and we have to know what the radical right is saying. And when you look at Turning Point USA, which is what Charlie Kirk created with the right, he has created a movement that essentially starts in high schools. There are many clubs in Southern Nevada that exist that are Turning Point clubs that start in high schools. And the whole shtick of these clubs is to start to radicalize young men in particular. They don't give a shit about young women. They want to radicalize young, in particular, white men.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll take any man at this point. But that's truly their focus. And they can sit here and claim that that's not bullshit. I call bullshit. Just gonna say it. That's not real. Like, it's all over your website. Just
Mm-hmm.
to say. Charlie Kirk has talked about it. He's talked about the movement that he built, right, of young people and bringing up young people and bringing them into the conservative movement. Hell, I was watching CNN the other night and they were like, the left wishes they had this. And I can tell you right now, they do wish they had a movement of young people that was this passionate about anything, literally about anything.
Mm-hmm.
But they're using techniques of radicalization. So go to the Turning Point USA website. Find out for yourself. It's all literally right here. I'm looking at it as we speak. There's all kinds of stuff about Brexit, what happened in Great Britain. There was a huge push by Turning Point USA when we started meddling in their politics in Europe. They have a whole college student and Club America program. Like, student programs is one of their biggest things. They go on tour. That's actually what Charlie Kirk was doing at the time. He would go on tours to campuses certain months and essentially debate people in courtyards, pushing back on their views and debating with them, which I have no problem with. Go debate. I don't care. And then one of the other things that's on their website is there's a documentary about the race war. This is on their website. This ain't my
Mm-hmm.
website. Race war. There's one about culture. There's movements around faith. So incorporating religion, which, by the way, if you do this kind of work, you're not supposed to combine those two things, but that's fine. Whatever, I guess. So all kinds of religious stuff. There are information on here about schools, about education events. So just go on, take a look. Take a look at what is on the website. Seeding schools, that is the exact words on here. Turning Point Education is committed to advancing all types of Christian conservative values education with the special emphasis on seeding the 5 C's in schools: Christian, classical, conservative, collaborative, and cost affordable. What do we know cost affordable to be? Vouchers.
Mhm.
Literally, our tax dollars going to pay for these religious schools. That's the stuff that they're talking about on these websites. So I encourage you, educate yourself about who you are sharing shit about. And look, if you agree with that, share away. But again, that tells me everything I need to know about you, because this shit is racist. This shit is homophobic, it's sexist, and it's vile. And the shit that came out of his mouth is bad. And again, I'm not sitting here saying he deserved to be shot at all. But what I am saying is, know the people that you're following. Know the stuff that comes out of their mouth before you share their stuff. Do your homework on their organizations before you share their stuff. Because at that point, once you've educated yourself, if you're still sharing it, that tells me everything I need to know about you.
Mhm. Yeah. And I'm just gonna say something you could do too, those other people. Be honest about who you are. If that is what you believe, if that is who you are, just be like, that's what I am. At least I know what you are and who you are.
But
And not
don't
a
get
liar.
upset when people like me
Right.
come and debate you on it. Don't
Just
be upset when people like me
yeah.
unfriend you or unfollow you, because we don't want that kind of racism,
Yeah.
nonsense, homophobia, sexism in our lives. Don't be upset when then people hold you accountable, right? Or try to have a debate with you, right? If you're going to put stuff on the internet, you should expect people to comment on it and debate you.
Yeah. That is discourse. That is actual discourse.
Literally,
Back and
that's
forth.
the whole point. That's what Charlie was saying he was doing.
Mhm. Yeah.
The governor of Utah did say, minus the whole "I wished it was an immigrant" thing, which I was like, "What the fuck, bro?" Anyways, one thing I think he did say that was right, and
Mhm.
I think this is the takeaway from all of this, because I do have a lot of friends who are conservatives. Hell, I married a fucking Republican. Now I
Yeah.
changed him, but you should be able to have that kind of discourse in a civil way, right? And I don't agree with a lot of my friends a lot of the time. Actually, that's not true. There's like a handful. Most of my friends are like raging liberals. It's fine. But Governor Cox did say one thing I thought was right. Are we going to try something different? And he was commenting on politics generally, right, in this country. Are we going to try something different? Instead of blaming each other, maybe we try civil discourse. Maybe we try understanding each other. Maybe we try having conversations with each other that don't involve racism, that don't involve homophobia, that don't involve sexism, where we simply sit there and talk about things maybe we disagree on. But once we start going down those roads of racism and like hatred of other people, you lose people like me. I'm not doing that with you.
Mhm.
So, are we going to try something different in this country? But I want to take it a step further. And I know Governor Cox wasn't talking about this because he's a Republican, but I want to take it one step further. Are we going to try something different on gun violence? The left has had people die, 2 legislators die because someone went to their homes and killed them. Essentially, they were doxxed and then murdered. The right has had somebody die now. We have people dying in this country every single day of gun violence. We have kids dying. We have elderly people dying. Why don't we try something different, maybe? Like, maybe we enact some laws. Maybe Congress gets their shit together and actually works together to get something done to protect people. And I guess that's my challenge from this episode is like, I have a lot of feelings on this. I know everybody does. I am very torn, right? I vehemently disagree with him, but he also didn't deserve to die. And I also think that we should be trying something different in this country, both with our discourse, because things are inflamed to a point where I don't know if we can get them back on track on both sides. We need to sit down and have conversations. But number 2, we need to do something about gun violence, because it's just going to keep happening.
Yeah. So it's a long time coming. It's
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 so
hundreds of
frustrating.
victims, hundreds of shootings coming. You know,
How many people have to die until you take it seriously? Like, it's crazy.
yeah. And that is only something that is gonna take both sides of the
Everyone. It's literally going to take everyone to do something about it.
Mhm. Yeah. And honestly, that's what this reckoning should lead us to. It should lead us to like, all right, y'all, we gotta sit down and like maybe we try this issue to test out this civil discourse thing. Where can we agree? Like where because how many times have we talked to Republicans who are gun owners like us about certain things that you can do, ideas,
Yeah.
and they have ideas. We have ideas and we're like, and like I've sat with rural legislators, like even last session on some of the gun bills that we had, and a lot of them going, agree, it's a problem. We need to do something about it. Why don't we, like you said, let's just go further and add to that discourse a possible solution on gun violence. Why don't we try that?
I'm so frustrated. And I think at a certain point, I'm also tired of the left being blamed for everything by Donald Trump. It's like, for the people who can't see through it, like, I don't know what it's gonna take for you to, like, break out of that cult and see, like, they are literally making shit up. Like, they are literally lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
What is it gonna take for you to, like, break free and see, like, what's going on? Because, like, that is not reality. Like, what they are saying on the internet is not real. And it's just that's the I fundamentally, you know this about me. I fucking hate liars. I hate liars, I hate cheaters. I truly, it is all the things that Donald Trump is that I do not like, right? Because I don't believe that lying should be a part of our discourse. I don't believe that manipulation should be part of our discourse. I don't believe that manipulating people who don't have the time or energy to participate in their democracy is proper discourse, right? People have 2 and 3 jobs. They're trying to put food on the table for their families. They're trying to make the ends meet. They don't have the privilege that we have every day of doing this work. And for me, it's just so frustrating because I'm like, you are literally lying and manipulating people. Like, wake up, friends. Go on the website. Do your own homework. Do your research. Google literally exists, friends. Go do your own homework before you spout things off about people you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
Who
crazy.
knows if we'll ever come to that realization as a country? Well, that was a light
I'm
topic.
very frustrated. Yeah. I mean, we spent a whole episode. I'm assuming all of our guests are frustrated too. I mean, I don't even feel like I was very eloquent on this tonight, but I just felt so strongly that like we needed to get it off our chest because it's just been a heavy week. It's been a sad week. It's been a frustrating week. It's been an infuriating week of watching people lie about other people who had nothing to fucking do with this and blaming people of color, blaming gay people and trans people for shit they had nothing to do with, blaming the left for something they had nothing to do with. And I just really feel that they're using this whole thing to just stoke more violence against people they disagree with. I mean, again, look at the school board members, the 2 super conservative school board members on the Clark County School District Board, literally doxing educators, literally breaking state law, doxing fucking educators because of their opinions. You don't have to agree with them. They get to have their First Amendment right and
Yeah.
say what they feel outside of the fucking classroom. They get to. That is their right, and you don't get to dox them over it either. If I dox somebody on the right every time I disagreed with them, that's all I'd be doing all day.
You wouldn't
Literally, that's
you wouldn't be
all
able
I
to
would
hold
do
down a
all
job.
day.
You wouldn't be
No.
able to hold down. Yeah.
Anyways, now that the dog is sleeping after she thoroughly tore up my office, it's been a heavy conversation. Take us
Yeah.
out, Maria.
With that, read, please. Like there was somewhere out there about everything could be so much better if people just read
Just do
what
your
you think,
homework, please.
read actual news, read a book.
Don't go down the rabbit hole of QAnon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Get off. I know that like we post some of this on TikTok and Instagram, but every once in a while, like we do, get off of those and read something that's like factually based. That would help.
Go to the AP,
Yeah.
right? The news site, and just read something that's like middle of the road, not biased,
Yeah.
not Fox News, not anything other. AP. It's a good neutral site to find
Very.
your research.
And other than that, take care of yourself. It's a wild time out there, and take care of each other. And we will see you next week.
And if you got feelings, put them in the chat because we want to hear them. If you disagree with us, we encourage civil discourse here. Let us
Absolutely.
know. We want to hear from you. And if you're just in your feelings about it and have a lot of feelings about things, you know what? You can feel free to disagree with us. That's fine because we encourage you to disagree and have your own opinions about these things.
Hmm.
So put all of that in the chat because we highly encourage that.
Absolutely. So, with that, comment, rate, and review, and we'll see you next week, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Oh boy.